Good afternoon. This is video journal number 9. The first question in video journal number 9 is, why is fair use a defense for copyright infringement? Fair use can be used as a defense because it is any copying of copyrighted material done for a limited and/or transformative reasoning. Now, some of the transformative reasons include commenting upon a copyrighted work, criticizing that copyrighted work, making a news report on that copyrighted work, teaching on the subject of that copywritten work, as well as doing research on some of that copywritten work. And if the copyrighted work is used to do any of these items, then of course, you have to take excerpts out of the copywritten work in order to study it, research it, report on it, criticize it, whatever you need to do to it. So therefore, when so-called infringers do that without permission, or if they do that without making payments to a copywriter or a copyright holder, then fair use can be used as a defense if the copyright holder decides to come and try and sue them for that action. So that's where fair use can be used as a defense to copyright infringement upon those subjects of actually evaluating and taking a deep look at the copyrighted work. Question number 2. What are the 4 factors that are used to evaluate fair use? The first factor is the purpose and character of your usage of the work. So, what is the reasoning behind you doing it? Is it for material gain? Is it for that research that we talked about, or is it for something else? The second thing is the nature of the copyrighted work. The third thing is the amount and how substantial is the copyrighted work that is used in question. Are you using the whole thing and using a complete entire works, or are you just using an excerpt? And, how are you using, that small or whole piece of the work that's in question? And then the fourth is the effect of the use upon the potential market. Is there a lot of money made on this work, which is probably the most important factor. That's the whole reason behind copywriting something, so that, you can make a financial gains with it. So if someone, is making a great financial gains upon your work, then possibly it may not be fair use, especially if they're using a large portion of your work and the gains are really high. So those are the 4 factors that are used to evaluate fair use in the court of law. Question number 3. Discuss 2 of the fair use myths that most surprise you. Well, I think the first fair use myth that surprises me is the one about the internet. The internet contains a wealth of information. And of course, someone in my mind had to author all of this information that's on the internet. Even if it's not the words, if it's the graphics, if it's the design, the layout, just a host of material is on the internet. There is no way people can say that it's okay if I use this material that's on the internet, because it can't be copyrighted, because it is on the internet. To me, that is definitely a myth, and you should do your research and figure out, what all on the internet is copywritten, what all on the internet, is fair game in the public domain that you can use. Because if it's not, you're going to be in trouble. So the internet part, it's pretty funny if it's on the internet. The second myth that surprises me is those who think that it's okay to use an author's work who's been dead, or because the author is dead. The biggest example of this to me is in the music industry. We have big musicians who have passed away, and their estates still continue to own the music and receive royalties and make money from the music that is still sold and played. You got musicians such as Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye. We hear about their estate still accumulating wealth from their works that these artists have created, that they've done. So therefore, to me, why would we think it's okay that just because someone is dead, that it's okay to use that deceased person's works, when in actuality their estate are the ones who own it, receive the royalties and have the copyrighted or actually are the copyrighted holders. So those two, I think, are the ones that surprise me the most. Question number 4. Why are parodies not readily considered infringement? Well, parodies, I think, are not readily considered infringement because they can be classified as fair use. And as we discussed, if you're evaluating something, looking at something, taking excerpts of something, researching it, or using it for a particular purpose to study it, which you could classify parody as studying certain pieces of work. A parody is usually a method or form of criticism about someone's work. And parodies are usually done by comedians to entertain audiences, while at the same time, they communicate a particular message or a point of view that artist or comedian may want the public to know. Also, when using parodies, they are usually under protection of the free speech principles, which is incorporated into the First Amendment. Many comedians use the First Amendment to entertain audiences and invoke their free speech principles to present a wide range of artistic expression. As long as that newly created work or newly created entertainment by the comedian is truly parody, then it's not readily considered infringement. And that concludes, I think that is the last question for journal number 9, video journal number 9. So that includes video journal number 9. Thank you for listening, Ms. Moore. If it wasn't too bad.